Tzu Chi volunteers host a tea gathering in Germany for residents to get to know Tzu Chi and the effects of climate change. We meet Dr. Wang Lixin of Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital and see what makes him such a different infectious disease specialist. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Shoda. Thank you for joining us. After the UN Climate Change Conference, which took place in Bonn, Germany, Tzu Chi volunteers hosted a tea gathering for many overseas Chinese who live in the Cologne area. In addition to learning more about climate change, they also learned about Tzu Chi's activities in different countries around the world.
The location of this tea party was Cologne, Germany. Tzu Chi volunteers living here invited the community to attend the event after the United Nations Climate Change Conference.
When Sister Mei Feng talked about hosting this event, I offered my home as venue. I arranged it all to allow everyone the chance to feel the love of Tzu Chi. The original inspiration is not bound by any rules, nor borders, nor religion. We wanted the atmosphere of the event to feel like a home.
We want the whole world to be like Germany. Angela Merkel said that zero carbon emissions should be achieved by 2030. But this has been delayed by 50 years. It won't immediately allow global temperatures to decline.
Some weren't able to learn about climate change at the conference, though this tea gathering helped others learn about the weather. Tzu Chi Foundation colleagues were also on hand to share moving stories.
They have transformed themselves from not just being victims of climate change, but those who are able to bless others.
I think in everyone's heart, we have the ability to help people. Whenever we come across someone, we can just give them a smile or courage and trust. We can do whatever we can to help and support the world's most simple and environmentally friendly charity.
Wang Yan, who lived in Oldenburg for 17 years, drove her children all the way to Cologne to attend the tea gathering.
There was traffic the entire way as we drove for more than 5 hours. I still believe it is quite worthwhile to come here and meet so many friends. Tzu Chi's charitable mission is really an act of love.
Bringing together people from many different countries in this foreign land for this tea gathering not only shared this message about the environment, but also sincerity and love and compassion between this group.
Prior to the end of COP23, meteorologists from 9 countries, including Dr. Peng Qiming of DaAi TV from Taiwan, exchanged their views and experiences. Through a film, DaAi TV's general manager also conveyed to the viewers that DaAi TV is concerned about global warming.
Global warming impacts everyone, regardless of national borders, and it is time we speed up our actions to mitigate climate change.
Through a film, the general manager of DaAi TV, Susan Ye, conveys to the viewers that DaAi TV cares about global warming as much as other environmental groups.
Climate without borders! Climate without borders!
Meteorologists from 9 countries, including DaAi TV's Dr. Peng Qiming, share their experiences.
Tzu Chi Foundation and DaAi TV joined Climate Without Borders to hold a press conference. Their main purpose is to tell everyone that since many people still do not understand climate change, it is best to have the meteorologists tell the public about climate change every day. This way people can get the correct information. Many people still do not believe in climate change. Even those who believe climate change exists do not take any actions.
Besides forecasting weather, meteorologists also need to take up the responsibility of reminding the public about global warming.
We get information from our colleagues around the world. We get pictures, we get information, we get data. So from this we can tell our viewers what happens everywhere. We can, through this knowledge, take a comparison between normal weather and what is happening.
Climate Without Borders also meets up with the Secretary General of World Meteorological Organization to exchange views on climate change. Meteorologists from different countries are doing their best to help protect planet Earth.
We switch our camera to Mexico, where Tzu Chi's disaster assessment team, which is comprised of volunteers from the United States and Argentina, continues to assess the earthquake damage in Zacatepec. This time, about 40 government staff members and local residents have joined Tzu Chi's task force.
In the aftermath of the Mexico earthquake, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to assess the damage with the help of local residents. The city government has called upon government staff and residents to join the task force.
I heard on the radio that you've come from Taiwan to help the disaster victims. I'm deeply moved.
Since the houses on the street have become too dangerous to live in, affected residents are staying in tents along the road. 2 months after the earthquake, quake victims are still coping with the terrible loss.
We've never experienced such a horrible disaster. I thought everything was destroyed. I ran to my son's workplace to find him. Things in the store had fallen to the ground. Fortunately, he was all right.
Volunteers have set up a service station for the quake victims to register. The affected residents cannot stop crying as they recall the traumatic experience.
Caminé más y me encontré un muchacho que trabaja en unos visitaxis y le pedí de favor porque yo vi mi casa cuando se estaban cayendo los pedazos.
When the earthquake struck, I asked a young taxi driver to go upstairs to save my child. As he went upstairs, the roof fell on him.
La barda ya estaba caída. El escombro todo le cayó encima. El techo le cayó encima.
As rows of houses have been destroyed, this woman cries, not believing she has lost her home. Tzu Chi volunteers led local volunteers to visit quake victims, providing them with much-needed love and care.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Shenzhen, Guangdong province will hold winter aid distributions for around 10,000 sanitation workers in January of next year. In advance of the distributions, volunteers visited each and every one of these sanitation workers at home to get to know their situation.
It is 6 p.m. and the street cleaners are getting off work, and it is also the best time for Tzu Chi volunteers to follow them to their homes. This shack house in the mountain lives a family of 8 people, but they feel it is enough of a blessing to be able to live together. Tzu Chi's winter aid distribution is coming for them, and they are very grateful for it.
It's true, you work hard. That's why Shenzhen is so pretty.
There are 10,000 street cleaners in Shenzhen, and they are the main recipients of the upcoming aid distribution. Most of them are migrant workers. They leave home early and return home late, and their homes are also very simple. Wang is originally from Hunan province, and she lives in a bomb shelter. She picks up all the furniture from the street.
住了多少年？
哇，8、9年了，有9年左右了。
习惯了。
习惯了。
Even the narrow stairway can be their home, but it becomes wet whenever it rains.
There was water everywhere, so I hung a piece of cloth there. It gets moldy over time, so I hang another piece of cloth to let the rain drip down it.
Keeping the city clean is their mission. They may be poor, but they are content that they can make enough to support their families.
In our next report, we meet 8th grader He Yu, who started painting and calligraphy since kindergarten. His dedication and his artistic ability has allowed him to win competitions. However, he says his greatest accomplishment is always in the completion of his artwork.
The pleasant melody echoes in the room. He Yu is not only good at playing musical instruments, but he has also mastered painting and calligraphy.
It's not easy to complete a piece of calligraphy, as I have to be very patient.
He started to learn painting and calligraphy since kindergarten. He is in 8th grade this year, and he has obtained many competition certificates.
There are things he perseveres in. Sometimes we don't understand why he's so persistent in a specific thing, just like the way he paints.
Because of perseverance and concentration, He takes every piece of artwork seriously.
It doesn't matter whether they say my work is beautiful or ugly. I'm just happy people can see my work.
His steady and assertive personality is perhaps related to his living environment. He lives with his grandmother and mother, and he always helps around the house.
He's very considerate. The health conditions of my mother and me are not good. He may look after us and he can do many things on his own.
Tzu Chi volunteers come to care for this family frequently. Besides providing warmth and love, they also encourage He to pursue his dreams.
He must have an expertise and expand his life at this stage. If he's willing to try different things, he may have more opportunities to develop his career in the future.
Although He is young, he is very pragmatic as he knows he should work hard to achieve his goals.
Currently, I should study hard, which is my duty. I want to get into an art class.
I am proud of him. I hope he can continue to work hard.
Not growing up in a rich family, He knows to cherish his blessings and always be grateful as he seizes every chance to learn.
Hualien Tzu Chi Senior High, affiliated with Tzu Chi University, signed a sister school contract with South Korea's Singsang Middle School. As the contract signing took place during the senior high's 18th Sports Day event, the two schools engaged in a friendly competition. These kindergartners perform a Korean children's song while the high school students perform classical Chinese music to welcome the sister school signing of South Korea's Singsang Middle School and Tzu Chi Senior High School affiliated with Tzu Chi University.
The students look forward to learning more about Tzu Chi's educational ideals and methods. They hope to receive much in return.
The students from Singsang also joined in Tzu Chi's school celebratory sports day.
We have now 27 sister schools, and to celebrate our 18th birthday with this new friendship is such a meaningful event.
Rushing towards the goal, the two schools participate in a friendly competition while cementing their long-lasting friendship. Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital's Deputy Superintendent Wang Lixin has won Hualien County's Medical Contribution Award for his medical practice in the Division of Infectious Disease this year. Dr. Wang has to face many difficult medical cases and try to find out the real cause for these illnesses. Despite these challenges, he is joyful to see the patients recover and learn from the challenging medical cases.
现在还会肚子痛吗？ 酸哈，所以在比较深的位置、低的位置。
对。Most people might not know that the patients who seek treatment at the Division of Infectious Diseases usually face life-threatening situations because they cannot find a cause.
就一直发烧。
I was having a fever and I felt weak. Originally, I lacked confidence. However, after I felt better, I was more at ease. I really appreciate him.
Another patient, Fan Shiyuan, originally thought he had pneumonia, but the doctor discovered that he suffers from A. flavus infection. Wang Lixin encounters such difficult cases almost every month during his 40 years of medical practice. Wang is extremely delighted as the patients recover miraculously. However, how did Dr. Wang get into this special medical department?
When I reported to the hospital as a resident, the chief physician told me there is a vacancy at the Division for Infectious Diseases. I replied, that is fine. Therefore, I reported to the Division of Infectious Diseases.
Facing different kinds of diseases, Dr. Wang is happy to take the challenge of finding the causes.
All the patients at the Division of Infectious Diseases have fevers. However, there are usually signs. We ask detailed questions and look into their medical history. Oftentimes, their medical history gives us the clues.
Despite the medical advancement, the doctors at the Division of Infectious Diseases still need to be mindful while conducting diagnosis.
是容易犯错的一个课。
For doctors, it is a division where doctors often make mistakes. Therefore, many doctors fear practicing in this department. For me, I've gotten much joy from my practices. The more difficult the medical cases, the more I learn from the patients.
那病人教我越多。
Dr. Wang has treated the patients and his family and learned from them. In the future, he will continue to take up challenges in helping the patients battle illnesses.
Dementia is often associated with the elderly, but more and more younger people are coming down with young onset dementia, which is officially defined as affecting those under the age of 65. In fact, the youngest such person with this affliction was just 12 years old. When the disease affects those who are in their 40s and 50s, it makes it difficult for them to support their families. Often, if one person gets sick, the whole family's economy can be affected.
来，今天是星期几？今天是星期日啊，星期一。好，星期一哈。
This simple test to detect for dementia may be more difficult than anticipated.
100 minus 7 is how much? 93, good. Minus another 7 is 84.
Even young people may have problems with their memory. The test includes answering with the correct dates, repeating what someone has said, and following simple directions like folding paper or crossing your legs. If one is unable to do these simple things, the early onset of dementia could be appearing.
This patient drew a cube and transformed it from a 3D to 2D image. This is the work for a 51-year-old architect.
On the left is a physician's drawing of a cube, but on the right we see this architect's unusual drawing. Early onset of dementia is also known as young onset dementia, affecting those under the age of 65. The earliest reported cases abroad can be linked to one person who was just 12 years of age. Here we look at this 30-year-old patient who suddenly woke up one day and his whole world had changed.
For the case of someone in their 30s, he was quite healthy but said that he lost the ability to perceive distances in front of him, so we asked him to draw a clock.
His clock was a bit crooked, especially around 7 and 8 o'clock, which confirmed that his sense of space has deteriorated. It was hard for him to accept this diagnosis.
He had a problem with spatial concepts, so it was hard for him to distribute the 12 numbers on the clock evenly.
Taiwan Alzheimer's Disease Association estimates that the total number of people with dementia is about 1.1% of the population at the moment. But by 2061, it will increase to some 4.65%. Of this figure, those between the ages of 30 to 64 suffering young onset dementia will amount to 12,650 people across the country. While these people remain hidden in our country, these young people may be the main force in our society and economy. When one person falls ill, the whole family could suffer.
All relatives tell you to leave your work and take care of them, but no one tells you where the money will come from.
来，准备做一下我们的脚，待会呢，左脚伸直。
The youngest person coming to our class with young onset dementia is 47 years old, but the youngest person we have made contact with on the phone is 29 years old.
Being young is no longer a way to avoid dementia, as clinical experience shows that for elderly who are diagnosed with dementia, it may take 10 years for their condition to worsen. For young people, it's much worse, as patients may live only up to 3 years. More troublesome is that dementia may not just cause people to lose their memory, but one type, frontotemporal dementia, can lead to emotional disorders. The number of young people with young onset dementia is increasing, and this group may be misdiagnosed with mental illnesses in the past.
With Alzheimer's, the biggest problem is poor memory, as they may soon forget what you say after talking to them. But with frontotemporal dementia, their biggest problem is emotional and communication problems.
你讲较慢咧？讲啊，可以笑笑。我爸爸不笑。你爸安怎？不笑。都笑你哦。但是因为就是他是神经类型的患者，所以他的语言方面可能会稍微就是没办法讲清楚。
This is Lin Jianxiu, who is only 53 years old, but is a typical example of this disease. He was his company's foreign business manager and was quite good at conversation. But after being diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, he not only ignored the outside world but has trouble speaking and focusing his eyes. He had to undertake early retirement.
我的车牌是几号？P7什么？5618 P7是什么意思？P7是老婆。
Even if a person can be changed because of an illness, they may never forget their loved ones. While Lin may be confused by today's task, he still remembers important things about his loving wife.
You see, he still remembers my birthday. What is my birthday? It is January 8th, ROC year 65. Before, when he was healthy, he bought me a car with his license plate and chose it because it was my birthday.
It is said that love can still reside in one's memory, though it may be difficult to express for those who have trouble connecting with the outside world.
Though he's sick, I think that in fact he still loves me. If I don't have a seat on a bus or MRT, he'll push others away to find a place for me to sit. He'll also rush to the front and push others away to find a seat for me.
Those caring for people suffering from dementia may worry their spouses left them. This bitter fate is tied to the fact that dementia is irreversible, as many simply try to grasp the moment and live out the rest of their lives with a little dignity.
Tzu Chi's honorary board members are made up of people from all walks of life. Some of them are affluent entrepreneurs, while others may simply be the elderly residents who scrimp and save. What they have in common is their heart of giving. Next, we join the honorary board members on a tour of Changhua. The true life story of how Tzu Chi volunteer Gao Zhaoliang, who was controlled by his drug addiction for 20 years, changed for the better, was adapted into a short play and performed for the audience.
For a person with a reckless past to reform his ways really reminds everyone the right way to live. It's always a good lesson to be reminded of.
This is the group activity for Tzu Chi's honorary board members from 3 northern districts, which was to visit cultural heritage sites in Changhua.
It's important for us to host events for honorary board members. This way, it's easier to unite our spirits. Strength lies in numbers. Only in uniting our spirits from within, we can then recruit more people to join us.
The visit to Chengmei Hall not only gives the group a chance to be surrounded by Mother Nature, but also reflect on one's mindset.
Many of the cultural meanings have been accumulated. It's often an imitation of ancient times. However, I believe when they do so, they copy with a theme in mind to design the park. These things are really worth us looking into. The park is very exquisite. It's not a natural park, but it's very finely man-made. Many of the trees are native Taiwanese trees, which hold a different meaning altogether.
These entrepreneurs thoroughly enjoyed this trip as they used their united strength to pay back society in every way possible. In hosting the recent overseas volunteers during the year-end certification ceremony, Tzu Chi volunteers from the northern districts played a big role. The volunteers made sure to use the best and the freshest food ingredients in each dish or snack so that everyone could enjoy an array of vegetarian fanfare. We'll leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.